Namaste and welcome. I'm Nora, and today I would like to share some stories about heroes. For our practice, I recommend a few props that will support you along the way in your practice today. First of all, a couple of yoga bricks. If you don't have bricks available to you, you can use thick books or some bigger cans of tomatoes from your pantry. I also recommend something to cushion your knees. That can be a blanket. Here I have a critical alignment yoga felt pad, and you can also use a cushion. One last prop that I recommend today is a bolster. And again, if you don't have a bolster available to you, you can roll up a nice thick blanket and that will serve you well. So gather all of the props that you need for practice today and set them off to the side. And once you've got them, please lie down onto your back for Savasana or corpse pose. As you stretch out onto your back, you're welcome to put your cushioning underneath your head if you choose. And then stretch your legs out long and let your arms rest on the floor a little bit away from your body. You're welcome to keep your eyes open or close them, whichever feels more comfortable. And allow your gaze to be soft and wide so that you're not actively reaching out to look at anything. You're merely letting light come in and receiving vision. And just as you receive through your eyes, receive through your ears, noticing the sounds around you, letting your hearing be receptive, just like your eyes are. And notice the places where you touch the earth with your body. And feel the sensations of resting on the floor. Perhaps even the sensations of temperature and air on your skin. And finally, notice the sensations of breathing. And for the next few moments, follow your breath from the moment it arises until the moment it leaves. And for your practice today, set the intention that you will breathe in and out through your nose as much as possible, and that your breath will be as long and as slow as it can be without creating any distress in your body or in your mind. As I mentioned, I'd like to talk to you about heroes. In particular, some heroes that are featured in an ancient yoga text called the Ramayana. The main hero of the story, and the one that many of us relate to, is Hanuman, the monkey god. And Hanuman is blessed with many skills and gifts and abilities. And what makes him really endearing is that he is like many of us, that he forgets all that he has to offer in the world. He forgets his gifts of being able to make himself really, really big, really, really small, that he is really strong, and that he can actually leap across the whole country of India. And we often forget that we have these gifts as well. And that makes us very human. And what I'm most curious about, and what I really would love to share with you, is the story of a little squirrel that appears in the Ramayana. And the squirrel appears at a point where the hero Ram is building a land bridge between the southern tip of India and Sri Lanka. And his armies of bears and monkeys are bringing big, heavy boulders and trees and throwing them into the water to create this land bridge. And all the while they're doing all of this heavy lifting that requires their gifts of strength and endurance, this little squirrel is running back and forth. And they cannot figure out why this squirrel is doing this. And what the squirrel is actually doing is filling his cheek pouches with little pebbles and his fur with sand and running out onto the bridge and shaking everything out to fill in all of the cracks that remain in this land bridge as it's slowly being built from India to Sri Lanka. The little squirrel can't lift trees or boulders. What the little squirrel can offer is the opportunity to solidify this bridge with the mortar of sand and pebbles. The squirrel is in fact a hero. And some days we might be more like the squirrel, going about our daily tasks, running back and forth, doing all the things that are required of us by those we love. And some days we do the superhero tasks of flying great distances or doing the heavy lifting and persevering. And it really doesn't matter whether we're a squirrel or a monkey or a bear or Lord Hanuman himself. We are all of these characters, all of these personalities with their gifts that they have to offer into the world. And so I invite you to keep that concept in mind as we journey through towards Hanuman's pose in this practice. So in the next couple of breaths, send the signal to your body that you're about to move, and let your fingers and toes gently move, wiggling, undulating. Add in any other movements that feel like they would support you, not just in your body, but also in your mind and heart. And when you're ready to, bend both of your knees, bringing your feet as wide as your yoga mat, and let your arms drape out to the sides of, or beyond the sides of your body, out in a T position. Now come back to your awareness of slow and steady breaths in and out through your nose. And as you exhale, let your knees drape out to one side. And as you inhale, let your knees point up towards the sky. And then exhale, and your knees will move to the other side. And keeping your breath really slow and steady, notice how it slows your movement down if you let your movement be guided by your breath. And keep going a couple more times side to side. And as you complete the next side of this movement, so you're balanced left and right, come on back to center and heel toe your feet a little closer to each other. Place one hand on the front of your pelvis and the other hand at the low part of your ribcage. And for a couple of moments, feel your breath underneath your hands. Now set an intention that your rib cage isn't going to move. So the hand that's at your low ribs is going to monitor for movement. And then begin to rock your pelvis so that as you exhale, you flatten your lumbar spine and your tailbone lifts towards the ceiling. And as you inhale, your tailbone moves down and you get more curve in your low back. Let these movements be led by your slow and conscious breaths. Doing your best to keep your ribs still and moving your pelvis. And do this 2 or 3 more times at your own rhythm. As you complete the next cycle of this pelvic tucking and tilting, release your arms down beside your body. Your palms can face up or down as you choose. I've turned my hands down. Now let these movements get a little bit bigger so that as you tuck and flatten your lumbar spine, your bottom starts to lift away from the floor a little bit. And then as you tilt and your tail reaches down to the earth and your low back arches, the arch starts to come up into your ribs as well. And then follow the wave of your breath with the wave of this movement, letting each wave get a little bit bigger than the last one, so that you start to lift your pelvis a little bit higher. And as you lower back down, you arch your spine just a little bit more, so the front of your chest starts to lift towards your head. Continue in this way, each wave of movement a little bigger than the last, until you're coming up so high with your hips that your weight is being transferred to your shoulders, and that you roll back down and arch your back as much as you can with your pelvis on the ground, and then lift back up again. Take one more cycle of lifting and lowering, and then we add another element. So in this next round, as you lift your pelvis up, reach your arms up and over so that when your pelvis is as high as it can go, the backs of your hands are touching the floor. And then roll all the way back down. When your palms touch down, arch your back again. And then flatten your back, lift your pelvis, sweep your arms all the way up and over. And then come all the way back down again. Arch your back when your pelvis touches down. And one more time, rise all the way up with your pelvis, sweep your arms up and over, and exhale, roll down and take your arms down as well. We're going to do one more, and this one will be a little bit different. So rise up with your pelvis, sweep your arms up overhead, and keep your hands resting on the floor above your head as you roll down and bring your pelvis back to your mat. Now, keeping your pelvis and your rib cage pretty still, sweep your arms out to the sides so that they come down towards your mat. So maybe your little fingers touch the edges of your mat. And you reach your arms all the way back up and over again. Move slowly enough that you're maintaining a rhythm that connects you with your breath. And that rhythm is nice and slow and steady. The next time your hands sweep down closer to your pelvis, your little fingers touch the edge of your mat, pause, and stretch both of your legs back out along the floor. Let your arms rest on the floor, your left leg rest on the floor, and bring your right knee to point up towards the ceiling. Your right thigh bone will be straight up and down, and your shin bone level with the ground. Pause here for one complete breath, and then begin to move with your breath. Inhaling to straighten your knee as much as it can go, And exhaling to bend your knee, your shin level with the ground again. Set the intention that as you move through this range of movement, that your thigh stays still and it's just your lower leg that's moving. Take 2 more slow and steady movements here, straightening on your inhalation and bending your knee on your exhalation. The next time you bend your knee, stretch your leg out along the floor. Pause for a breath. And then bring your left knee, so it's pointing up towards the sky, and your knee is directly above your hip. Tap into the rhythm of your breath again, and inhale to straighten your knee, and exhale to bend your knee. About 5 times, letting your slow and steady breath lead your movement. The next time you bend your knee, slide your leg out along the floor again, and interlace your fingers in front of you and turn your palms up towards the ceiling, and then reach over your head. So maybe your little fingers touch the floor. Draw your low ribs down towards the floor, and now feel like you're reaching your hands and your feet in opposite directions. A nice big full body stretch. Maybe you can make yourself so big that you stretch all the way to the walls in your room. At the end of your next breath, release that stretch, bend your knees, roll over to your side, and using the support of your top hand, lift up and make a transition from this position to hands and knees. Now, in your hands and knees position, you might call on some knee cushioning to support you. So I'm bringing out my felt pad. You can bring out your blanket, cushions that you've got on your couch, whatever feels right for your knees. And place your hands on the floor below your shoulders and your knees on the floor below your hips. Once more, tune into your breath. And exhale to flatten your low back, drawing your tail under. Imagine you've got a Hanuman monkey tail and you're drawing it between your legs. And round your back up towards the sky. And then ever so humbly draw your chin in towards your chest. Then lift your tail and arch your back, reaching your heart forward as you lift your head and look forward. Keep moving in this way. Once again, letting your breath guide your movement. So you might be moving a little slower than you typically do. And this gives you the opportunity to know yourself better, to understand how you move, how you breathe, even how you think and feel. It can be an act of remembrance. You being the superhero Hanuman who forgets because he's been cursed with forgetfulness. So finish up that cat-cow stretch and then add in some free-form movements. Trust what you know about yourself and who you are, and move in ways that feel good in your body in this moment. A couple more breaths here. And when you feel ready to do so, turn your toes under and with an exhalation, press back and up into Adho Mukha Svanasana, or downward dog pose. Mindfully place your feet hip joint distance apart and come up nice and high on the balls of your feet and bend your knees. Keeping your knees as wide as your ankles, press your hands into your mat and press from your hands through your spine and out through your pelvis, finding lots of length. Now keep your left leg as it is, and when you exhale, draw your right heel back and down to find a bit of stretch through your right leg. Then lift your right heel up, bending your knee again, and do the same thing on your left side, the heel going back and down as you straighten your knee. Come up again, and now you can go a little faster if you choose, and do this 2 more times. Just waking up the backs of your legs, staying long and tall and strong in your upper body. Then once you've done it 3 times to each side, take both heels back and down as you squeeze your legs straighter. Your heels do not need to touch the ground. Your knees do not need to straighten. It's a direction, not the destination that might be right for you. Now walk your hands all the way back towards your feet. Come into Uttanasana, standing forward fold. You're welcome to take the knee cushioning away. You won't need it for the next while. And stay strong in your legs as you inhale and come up partway. Keep the back of your neck long, your legs strong. Exhale and fold. And inhale, come up partway. Exhale and fold. Inhale, come up partway, and then stand all the way up as you sweep your arms up overhead, palms facing one another. Staying steadfast and strong through your legs. Keep your shins vertical and take your buttocks back as you sit down into chair pose. Then exhale, fold forward from your hips and sweep your arms up and back, stretching out the backs of your legs. Keeping your shins nice and still, bend your knees and come forward and up once more into chair. And then sweep down, straighten your knees a little bit and take your arms back and up. Bend your knees, sweep your arms forward and up, chair. One more time, staying nice and steady through your shins if you can. And coming one more time back to chair pose and hold. Find your own steadiness here and come back to your awareness of your breathing. Slow and steady. Now hinge forward from your hips to bring your hands to your mat. Walk your hands forward so that you arrive in downward facing dog. Stay strong in your legs and in your abdominals, and inhale your way forward to a plank pose. Lift from your belly, press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward, find plank. And exhale, press back, downward dog. Once more, inhale, find your plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, come to plank once more. Exhale, lower down to your mat. Lay the tops of your feet down and prop yourself up onto your elbows so that your elbows are below your shoulder joints and your forearms are in front of you, parallel to each other. Now, drawing on the strength that's already within you, press the tops of your feet down and engage your leg muscles. Then press your pubic bone down as well, so you start to feel some engagement in your buttock muscles. Now rooting into the earth with your elbows, lift your chest up a little higher. And there's a possibility here to even lift your elbows up if you want to find even more of a back bend. And sometimes this can feel like a big effort. And if that doesn't suit you, bring your elbows down and acknowledge where you are today. Then release your hands, bring them by your shoulders, and turn your toes under. Now, you might feel more like a squirrel than a monkey god. If you're feeling like a monkey god, press up to a plank. If you're feeling like a squirrel today, go through hands and knees and find downward dog.
So now feel like you're really firmly planted through your left foot, right, left, and sweep your right leg up towards the sky. Stay strong in your belly and come through and hover your knee between your arms, and then press your right leg all the way back and up again. One more time, come through, hover, and then press back up again. This time will be different. So you're going to come through and step your foot between your hands. Get there any way that makes sense in your body, and perhaps find your knee cushioning so that you can bring your left knee down to your mat. And this would be a good time to bring your bricks in as well. I start with the medium setting for the bricks. You can come up higher or lower as you choose. And as you press down actively into the bricks with your hands, push your right heel into your mat and take your hips back so that you start to stretch the back of your right leg. And now actively press your heel down and feel like you're pulling yourself forward as you come into Hanumanasana, which is a low lunge, and Anjaneya is another name for Hanuman. Back and forth, 2 or 3 more times here. Moving with your breath, moving intentionally as a way of honoring who you are, so that when we move intentionally, we stay within our capabilities, whatever they happen to be today. Every day is different. The next time you come forward into Anjaneya's pose, just move your bricks out of your way. Place your palms on your mat. Lift your back knee and step back into a downward facing dog. We'll take this sequence to the other side. So when you're ready, inhale and take your left leg up, and then come forward with your knee between your arms. Inhale, send your leg back up again. Exhale, come forward. Inhale, send your leg back up. And next time, you'll step forward with your left foot and exhale to lower your right knee to your mat or your cushion and find your bricks once again. Slowly move back and forth between Anjaneya and Hanuman's poses. So hamstring stretch here is an echo of the front leg in Hanuman's pose. And when we come forward into the lunge, we're preparing the back leg for Hanuman's pose. So moving slowly and intentionally here, back and forth. Almost as if we're carrying maybe a big boulder or a tree. We want to feel like there's some resistance, that we're creating it within ourselves so that we're more mindful, more present. The next time you come forward into the lunge, pause and move your bricks out of your way again. Plant your palms on your mat and turn your toes under. Lift up, step back, downward facing dog. You can slide your knee padding out of your way here if you choose. And as you inhale your breath, come forward, take a plank pose. And either knees up or knees down, lower to your mat. Lay the tops of your feet down and keep your hands by your shoulders. Now as you press down through your feet, make your legs strong and press down through your pubic bone. Engage your low belly and use your back muscles to inhale and curl up into a mini cobra and exhale to lower back down. And inhale, curl up, and exhale, back down. Inhale, curl, exhale, lower. Turn your back toes under and transition into downward facing dog in a way that speaks to who you are today. From your downward dog, look towards your hands. Lift your heels, bend your knees, and either scurry like a squirrel or leap like Hanuman. Come into a standing forward fold. And as you inhale your next breath, come up part way, and then exhale and fold. Receive a nice big breath in as you sweep your arms all the way up to the sky, and let your palms touch one another as you exhale and bring your hands home to Anjali Mudra. Stepping fairly close to the top of your mat, have your feet hip joint, hip joint distance apart, strong legs. Sit back, bend your knees, sweep your arms back and up as you straighten your knees, then bend again and come forward and up into chair. 2 more times. The next time you come into chair, pause and shift your weight to your right foot and step back with your left to arrive in Virabhadrasana 1. Make sure your back foot is well rooted so you have lots of stability. And when you inhale next, straighten your front knee. Exhale, fold from your hips, sweeping your arms back and up. And then bend your front knee and come forward and up into Virabhadrasana 1. 2 more times. Let your slow and steady breath lead you. And the next time that you arrive in Warrior 1, pause. Then straighten your front knee while your spine is still upright. Take your arms and sweep them back behind you. Option 1 is to let your palms touch, fingers pointing down. Option 2, maybe you can bring your hands to an Anjali Mudra behind your heart. And if your wrists don't like either of those options, hold your forearms or your elbows. So choose your own position based on what feels right for your body. And when you're ready, inhale to lengthen upward from your tail to your crown. Even invite in a little bit of a back bend, lifting your heart towards the heavens. Staying steadfast in your legs, hinge forward from your hips. And as you come forward, go slowly enough that you know when the right time to stop is for you. So some of us might stay quite high up in the pose. Some of us might fold all the way over and rest our heads on our front shin. Neither one is better than the other. The best one is the one that's right for you. Now pushing out through your strong legs, inhale and come all the way up. Release your hands, bend into your front knee, sweeping your arms up and over to come into Warrior 1 again, Virabhadrasana 1. Now pivot onto the ball of your back foot, keeping your front leg bent. Step forward and take chair pose, Utkatasana. Hinge forward at the hips, sweeping your arms back and up. Straighten your knees, bend your knees, rise back up into chair. Do that 2 more times. Now pause in chair. Shift your weight over to your left foot and step back with your right and come into Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. The Virabhadrasana poses, the warrior poses, the word Vira actually means hero. So pause here to acknowledge that you are the hero of your own story. Then straighten your front knee. Hinge forward from the hips, sweeping your arms back and up. Bend your front knee, come forward and up, Warrior 1. Straighten your front knee, hinge,
Sweep your arms back and up. Bend your front knee, come forward and up. Hero 1. One more time, straighten your front knee. Sweep your arms back and up. Bend your front knee. Hero 1. Straighten your front knee this time, keeping your spine upright. Take your arms behind you and find the position that works best for your body. Keep your collarbones nice and wide, your legs nice and strong, and inhale to lengthen from tail to crown, maybe even adding that little bit of back bend. When you're ready, exhale to fold forward from your hips, staying steadfast through your legs, drawing on the support that is within you. And hold steady for 2 or 3 conscious breaths. The next time you inhale, bring your spine upright. Release your hands, bend into your front knee, and sweep your arms forward and up for Virabhadrasana 1. Keeping your weight steadfast in your left foot and your knee bent, step forward with your right foot and come into chair pose. Pushing down through your strong legs, reach all the way up to the sky. Let your palms touch one another as you exhale and bring your hands home to heart center, Anjali Mudra. I was getting confused with Anjaneyasana. All right. Find something to look at that is steady, maybe a spot on the floor or the wall, and take your way over to your right leg and hover your left foot. I'm mirroring this action, so I'm on the opposite side. As you inhale your next breath, sweep your arms forward and up and bring your right knee forward and up. And then as you exhale, let your arms sweep back and your foot go back behind you. And inhale, come forward and up again. Exhale, reach your arms back and reach your leg back. One more time. Bring your knee forward and up. Arms are up. Then exhale and reach back. As you inhale and come forward and up this time, release your foot and release your arms. And take your weight now over to the opposite side, first finding your gazing point, and hover your opposite foot. So again, I'm doing the other side, so root down through your left foot and hover your right foot. Inhale, sweep the arms up as you bring your right knee forward and up, and then exhale and reach back. And do that 3 more times. It's okay to make this movement smaller and to touch down whenever you need to. And after you finished your third one, bring your foot down to the ground and find your bricks once more. I recommend the highest setting. Stand a little bit back from your bricks, and they can be at the top corners of your mat. And fold forward from your hips, placing your hands on your bricks. Take your weight over to your right foot, hovering your left foot. And take your left leg all the way up to the sky as you fold forward. Maybe you adjust the height of your bricks or even take your bricks away. And maybe you can bring your right hand to your right calf to fold a little bit deeper. Coming into an expression of Hanuman's leap. This is a standing split. One more breath here. Then release your hands to the floor and your left foot to the floor. Of course, your hands can also be on your bricks. Pause for another breath.
And when you're ready to, take your way over to your left leg and sweep your right leg up. Adjust how you use your bricks, if you use them at all. And maybe you take your left hand to your left calf and fold a little bit deeper. Take 2 or 3 more breaths here in the standing split. And when you exhale next, bring your hand and your foot back down. Come into your forward fold. And set your bricks off to the side. Next time you inhale, sweep your arms all the way up as you stand up. Bring your palms to touch one another and let your hands come home to your heart space. Come a little bit closer to the top of your mat and take a nice big breath in. As you exhale, bend your knees, let your middle fingers just touch the floor, and then inhale to sweep your arms forward and up into chair. Exhale, fold forward, bringing your palms to your mat, and step all the way back to downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward for a plank. Exhale and consciously lower down. And when you inhale next, come into a back bend that you enjoy. So it could be the Sphinx, Cobra, Locust, or here I'm doing an upward facing dog. As you exhale, press back, downward dog. And with an inhalation, step your right foot towards your hands. Gather your knee padding if you wish. And exhale to lower your left knee to your mat. Bring your hands up onto your front thigh. And then move your hands to your hips. Your left thigh will be straight up and down. And bring your pelvis up and straight up and down. Then pressing your right foot into your mat and your left knee into your cushioning if you're using it. Pull them towards each other as you reach forward with your upright pelvis, focusing on finding some stretch at the front of your hip. Your hands can stay on your hips. You can also reach your arms up overhead. And hold on to your left wrist with your right hand as you stretch out to the right. Next time you inhale, bring your spine upright. Exhale to bring your hands to the floor and take your hands onto your bricks. Back your hips up again so that your left thigh bone is vertical. And slide forward with your right foot until your right leg is as straight as you can manage. Now press your heel bone down on your front foot and feel like you're dragging it towards the back of your mat as you turn your tail upward. Inhale to grow tall from your tail to your crown, and exhale to fold from your hips, taking your time so that you know how far to go. You know what you're capable of. Some days we feel that we can do more than others. Please honor however you're feeling today. So here we are in Ardha Hanumanasana, half Hanuman pose. And this might be your big leap today. To come out of this, walk back with your hands, slide your right heel towards you before bending your knee, and step your foot and your knee back. And we'll go straight to the other side here rather than the downward dog. Bring your left foot forward. Bring your hands up to your front thigh and bring your right thigh straight up and down. Place your hands on your hips. Draw your low belly up and in. Collarbones wide, heart bright. And press your left heel and your right knee down and feel like you're drawing them towards each other as you reach forward with your pelvis to find some stretch at the front of your right hip. Your hands can stay where they are, or you might reach your arms up overhead. When Hanuman takes his big leap, his arms are reaching upward. And in one of those leaps, he's actually carrying the top of a mountain. He is that strong. As you exhale your next breath, bring your hands to your mat. You can place your hands on bricks. Back up your hips so your right thigh bone is vertical again. And slide your left foot forward until you can straighten or almost straighten your left knee. Press your left heel actively into your mat and feel like you're drawing it back towards the back of your mat as you turn your imaginary monkey tail up and grow tall from your tail to your crown. On your exhalation, bow from your hips to the best of your ability, knowing that whatever you can do is just right for you today. We'll take 2 to 3 more conscious breaths here. Slow, steady breaths in and out through the nose. To come out, walk your hands towards you a little bit. Slide your heel towards you before bending your knee to move your leg back so that you're in tabletop position. So we're going to take another Hanuman leap. And this might be where you bring in a bolster if you have it and place it just in front of your knee cushioning. And once again, you'll have your bricks handy. So once you're ready, bring your right foot forward. So you're in Anjaneya's pose. And this might be where you choose to leap. So you can let the front of your left thigh come to rest on your bolster if you're using it. And it's perfectly okay if you don't have a bolster or a blanket available. Then back up your hips and slide your right foot forward. I sometimes like to slide right off my mat because sometimes I feel like my foot sticks on the mat. And if that feels like a good idea for you, just adjust so that your right heel is off your mat. Now, from this position, lift your left knee off your mat. Okay, so toes are turned under, lift your left knee, and grow tall from your tail to your crown. And this is another expression of Hanuman leaping. Then bring your knee down and take a little rest. Adjust if you need to. So maybe you want to bring your bricks up a little bit higher. And with your back toes turned under, lift your back knee once more. And see if you can slide your right heel a little bit more forward so that maybe you feel like you're sitting on your bolster or your blanket. Then most of us in this pose will lift up through the left hip because the front of the hip doesn't get into this position very often. So I invite you to feel like you can lean over to the left a little bit. And maybe you lower your left knee down and rest your foot on the ground. If you're feeling steady and you would like to go a little bit farther, you can reach your arms up overhead, coming into the full expression of Hanuman as he leaps across India. Whenever you feel ready to come out, lower your hands, push into your hands to lift your pelvis, and draw your heel back towards you. Use whatever props you need to make the transition. So I'm using the bolster to lift my torso up a little higher
Then come to the other side. So your left foot is in front, and slide your heel forward so your left leg is as straight as it can go. Turn your back toes under and lift your back knee up. Here might be your leap. Maybe you can practice squaring off your hips here. Maybe you can slide your left heel a little bit more forward. Maybe your right knee comes back down and you come to the top of your foot. Let your bricks at whatever height feels right support your upper body. And if you feel supported enough with your lower body, you can take your arms up overhead. Wherever your journey has taken you, enjoy 1 or 2 more breaths. And when the time is right, press your hands down into your bricks or into your mat, lift your hips back, and slide your left heel towards you. Let your bricks come out of your way, and move back so both of your knees are on your cushioning. And if you have a bolster, you can turn it so that it's lengthwise along your mat. Bring your knees nice and wide, buttocks back towards your heels, and then lay your chest and your head down on your bolster. And if a bolster isn't available to you, child's pose can be done with your head on the ground, or maybe on one of your yoga bricks. Pause here to feel into your breath. Let it be slow and steady. And honor what you have accomplished in your practice so far today. Maybe today you felt like you were Hanuman leaping across India. And perhaps you felt more like the little squirrel who is scurrying back and forth and doing a really important task. The task that you have just completed is showing up for yourself. Finishing one more complete round of breath. Come up from your child's pose and roll over onto your right hip and prop your head up on your right hand. So you're lying on your side. Both knees are bent. And maybe you decide that this is the best position to stay in for the next few moments. And if you would like to join me for Hanumanasana, bring your left knee in close to your left shoulder and take your first 2 fingers and thumb and wrap them around your big toe as you start to straighten your left knee, pointing your leg up towards the ceiling. If you're familiar with this pose and you would like to add some balance challenge, straighten your bottom leg. If that feels like too much, then you bend your knee again. This is Hanumanasana. And Ananta is another character. And he is the snake god who creates a cushion for Vishnu, the maintainer of the universe, to rest upon. And the leg that is up and over is representative of the hoods of Ananta, the snake, that shelter Vishnu from the sun and wind. And then as you exhale your next breath, release your top leg and bend both of your knees. Release your left hand and rest your head on the floor with your left arm out in front of you with your palm up. Take your left hand, sorry, I was saying left and right incorrectly. So this is your right hand that you're stretching out along the floor. And bring your left hand to the front of your chest And turn your chest towards the sky, and then reach your left arm along the floor at shoulder height. Now you can stay in this twist with both of your knees bent, or you may choose to straighten your bottom leg and find your twist. In this position, you're receiving a lot of support from the earth. So I invite you to let yourself be held and start to begin the process of releasing effort. We'll take maybe 2 to 3 more conscious breaths. With each exhalation, acknowledging our efforts and inviting us to relax a little bit. The next time that you inhale, bring your left foot onto your mat. If your right leg is straight, bend your knee and bring your right foot onto your mat. And shift so that you feel more centered on your mat. And bring both knees in for a hug, Hanumanasana. And then from your Hanumanasana, roll over to your left side. Prop your head up with your left hand. And bring your right knee to your right shoulder as you hold on to your big toe with your first 2 fingers and thumb. And stretch your leg as straight as it can go. If it's hard to straighten your leg and hold on to your foot, you can also hold on to your calf or your thigh. If it felt good on the first side to straighten your bottom leg, you're welcome to do that here as well. Embodying the snake god, Ananta. One of the things that all of the characters have in common is their desire to serve. Hanuman serves King Ram and Queen Sita. The squirrel also serves King Ram. And Ananta, the snake god, serves Vishnu. In that way, all of us are heroes because our work and our efforts in this world are in service to the welfare of those we come in contact with, whether they are our families, our friends, our co-workers. As you finish your next breath, release your right foot and release your head down to the floor, stretching your left arm out at shoulder height with your palm up. Bring your right hand to the front of your heart, and you can do this with your left leg straight or bent as you choose. And with your hand on your heart space, turn your torso to the right so that your heart faces the sky. Then drape your right arm out along the floor at shoulder height and settle into the position for this twist that feels right for you. It might be different on this side than the first side. And as you attune to your breath once more, acknowledge your efforts and allow yourself to be held and supported. As you complete your next conscious breath, Begin to dissolve your twist by bringing your right foot onto your mat and then your left foot. Center yourself on your mat and bring both knees in towards your chest, giving yourself a loving hug. We'll hold this one a little bit longer, so if you wanted to rock around or perhaps even add in a different movement or a different pose, you're welcome to do that. You know yourself much better than anyone else, so honor who you are, allowing your practice to be an act of remembrance of the gifts of what you bring into the world. Let your practice be a remembrance of who you are. When you feel ready to do so, release your knees and stretch out into Savasana. And if you wanted to use any of the props that you had gathered for the practice to support you in your Savasana, you can go ahead and do that. I've taken the bolster and put it underneath my knees. That sometimes just really helps release and relax the muscles of the pelvis and the low back. In the span of the next few breaths, find your comfortable resting position. And you're welcome to close your eyes if you choose. Letting your eyes feel soft, letting them receive the light that is in your space, just as your ears receive the sounds. Your body receives the support of the earth. As well as the touch of air on your skin. And as you rest here in Savasana, honor the hero that is you. Sometimes heroes can leap across India. Sometimes they can lift and carry big boulders and trays. And sometimes they fill their cheeks with petals and pebbles, and their sand is embedded in their fur. And they shake it all out to create the mortar that holds everything together. And while the heroes that do big and bold things are often noticed by others, the heroes that create the mortar in support of others are what keep us going and build the bridges between ourselves and each other. The days that you leap like Hanuman, honor that aspect of who you are. In the days where you scurry back and forth and others don't see or understand what you're doing, honor that hero as well. You're welcome to stay here in Savasana for as long as you need to, as long as it takes to fully rest. And whenever you are ready to come out, signal to your body and mind that you're about to move. And invite a little bit of movement into your toes and your fingers. And knowing yourself as you are today, add in any other movements that feel Good. What might they be? In your own time, bend your knees and roll to your side and find your way to a seated position. And once seated, fold your hands into the seal of offering. And let this offering of your practice be an offering to remembering who you are, both in the bold things you do in your life and to the crucial and quiet things that serve you and others. Thank you for joining me for this practice. Namaste.